Hi there, let's do the Astro weather for the week starting the 6th of November. So we have a bit of movement this week with Chiron around, making some aspects with Lilith. So that is our Chiron wounds. So wounds from the ages of 3 until 23 that we have created emotional programming around, as well as Lilith being our dark side of the moon, our dark emotional side, places of guilt and shame. So there's a little bit of internal work going on in this Scorpio season, but the positive of this week is that the nodes of destiny are direct. So all week, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of November, we see our nodes being direct. And what that means for us is that our future and our past are aligned so that we have the ability to see straight forward into the goals that we need to achieve in order to be on our timeline of greatest abundance. So this energy is fantastic for putting out business proposals and having business conversations, for starting new projects, for writing down and really hitting go on any ideas that you have. If you have things that have been in the mix, this is a really great energy for forward moving, particularly now that Saturn has gone direct. We are in some very forward moving energy. If you have been working very hard on some of these ideas, you will start to see them flow forward. So use this energy of the nodes being direct. It very rarely happens that we get a whole week of it. So apart from when we are in void moon and a few of the opposition angles that are coming up this week, really try and put your head down and get the work done. We do have a Virgo moon this week as well, who is going to be very supportive of work. So we've got a bit to talk about. Let's get into it. So November the 6th, a Monday. The work we're doing overnight here, because I am coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, so that is the time that we are using, okay? We have the moon making a trine with Chiron. So this is the first of the Chiron aspects this week, and this is a positive one. So this is moon in Leo, okay? So this is helping us see the power in healing our wounds. So you might have woken up Monday morning feeling a little bit more sure of yourself, and that is where this came from. So last night, so Sunday night, there would have been a compromise come up in a conversation, in the way that you saw an emotional thing, an emotional aspect, an emotional conversation. And because of that compromise, we now start to see through this moon in Leo, putting ourselves into the place of our authentic creativity, how this Chiron wound can actually become a place of power, okay? At 3:59 a.m., the moon did square Mars, okay? So this is the moon in Leo wanting to have fun. So we might have found that in our dream state, we had came up against a little bit of a barrier there, because Mars in Scorpio wants to transform. So this would have been that Chiron wound being looked at through the Mars in Scorpio. How do we take action? And Leo kind of being like, no, I want to dream about fun things, okay? At 8:04 a.m., Jupiter making a semi-square with Neptune. So Jupiter wants to expand, wants to find our greatest abundance, wants to bring us luck. And with this semi-square aspect, we see Neptune kind of putting up a bit of a fog of illusion. And it kind of gives us this little bit of frustrating energy, not being able to see straight forward with where we want to go. So you might have found on on that Monday morning wake up that something might have gotten in your way, something might have annoyed you a little bit. At 8:40 a.m., we see the moon making an aspect with Neptune. This time a quintile aspect, which is a little bit more positive. So this is the Leo moon, and it's going to help us sort of understand how to see through that illusion. Now, it will require us to kind of put ourselves in the center there, so sort of self-centering ourselves around it and trying to understand probably where we tried to escape making a decision, or trying to escape the reality of a situation. And so what we did is we used that Neptune fog to put up a barrier that we couldn't see through. And this Leo moon making the biquintile is coming in to help us understand, okay? And then 1:11 p.m., we get a really unexpected change in here with the moon squaring Uranus. And this is going to make us a bit headstrong and a little bit irritable. And these are both fixed energies, okay? So Leo fixed fire, wanting to take action its way. Taurus fixed earth, wanting to ground, wanting to stay feet in the ground. So you might come up against some stubborn energy around lunchtime on Monday that is kind of holding you back, or so it will seem. Then we have the moon going void at 6:25 p.m. and it is void until the next morning. So there is going to be a lot of things coming up tonight and throughout the night that are going to be things revealed in our darkness. So just be ready for a restless night of sleep, okay? And let's look at how we are going to get that restless sleep, because we are moving from a Leo moon who wants to be self-focused and have fun and find pleasure into that very service-focused Virgo moon. So some of the things that are going to come up in this void moon phase are at 6:25 p.m. Monday night, the moon making a square to Mercury in Scorpio. So this is going to be some communication delays or some communication errors. So really be careful sending out text messages Monday night. Make sure you are sending them to the right person, that the words you are using are very intentional. Mercury in Scorpio. Be aware that you're not being too sharp-tongued, okay? Because this Leo moon wants to rush through boring things and Scorpio wants depth. So we do have a low focus here and we will be more inclined to fight with people to get our point across. So just be aware of that. Try not to make any big decisions during text messaging, okay? Moon is void. Then at 8 p.m., we get a nicer one, okay? We get the moon making a trine to our north node, which is in Aries right now. So this is some fire energy, but it is going to make us be able to see how we can use our own egoic creativity to work forward towards the greatest good. So whatever it was that we felt delayed with, this will kind of help us move a little bit forward, even though we are still kind of slowed down by the void moon phase, okay? 8:47 p.m. we're going to see an annoying compromise because the moon is making a quincunx aspect with Neptune in Pisces. So this is going to be like skirting around reality here. You know, we are still under the fog of the void moon and, you know, we're going to be wanting to face the truth of the situation and take action, but it's, you know, we're not really trying too hard to do that, okay? Then we have the next morning, okay? So November 7, let's have a look. Moon's still void, all right? So 1:37 a.m. on Tuesday, the 7th of November, Venus comes in with a trine to Pluto. All right, so Venus in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a really strong, passionate energy. So part of the work we are doing overnight here, Monday, Tuesday, overnight. So this will make us feel a little bit more lucky in love, and friendships and connections become a little bit more easily. So while we are working through these ideas and feelings, we might find that some of our dreams are about attraction. Some of our dreams are very artistic and about attraction here. If we are waking up, we can be still rolling through this energy, which is really great for professional life. And like I said, the nodes of destiny are direct. So any business ideas that come up overnight, you really should be writing them down and seeing if you can pull them in any way into your reality, all right? Because Venus in Virgo here, it wants the give and take of giving service. And Pluto in Capricorn is really about getting down to hard work and discipline, but in the deepest part of our psyche. So it really helps us be able to connect to our long-term goals in relation to how we are taking small movements towards it, daily habits, okay? At 2:43 a.m., we are having another quincunx aspect that's going to be asking for a compromise. And this time it's going to be about something that previous energy has brought up. So where it is that we might need to be changing ourselves and changing our daily habits in order to move forward here. And so the Leo moon is going to come in here and it's going to look at how that makes us feel. So from our own personal perspective. At 2:50 a.m., we get a positive aspect here, semi-sextile between the moon and Venus. Now, this could be a little bit annoying and a little bit difficult to see why we need the compromise. This is because that Virgo being very service-based and Leo being self-based, it will try and make itself centered on something, which can make it a little bit hard to see how giving service can be helpful, all right? But we need to look at it through the eyes of, you know, you help somebody out and you get a little positive kick, you get a little feel good moment for yourself. So that is what that aspect is asking us to do. So that is some heavy work to be doing overnight. It is ending on a positive aspect, but we are going to be waking up with the moon moving into Virgo. So there's going to be a lot of self-centered kind of thoughts coming up throughout the night. And the idea of that is for us to be able to see how situations affect us so that we can best project what we need for our most abundant futures, so that we can be attracting in the energy that we want. And then we see Virgo moon coming in at 6:39 a.m. So this wants us to work. So this is checking in on your daily habits, checking in on your health, and releasing any addictive behaviors that you might have overindulged in during that Leo moon, and really looking to create order in your life again. So lean into these Virgo moon days because they are very good for doing the work. So just after that moon comes out of its void and moves into Virgo at 6:50 a.m., we see Mercury making a quincunx with our North Node. Okay, so Mercury is in Scorpio, so it is coming in with energy of communication. And this is how we are going to see how these changes will best serve us, even though it is going to require a bit of a compromise on our behalf, all right? But it is pushing us forward into our most fulfilling purpose. And this could be communication from someone else. We might be waking up very tired after all of that work, very, a little bit restless because of moving from Leo to Virgo. We might be feeling like we've been a little bit lazy. Sometimes that is the energy that comes up when we move into a Virgo moon, because she is quite critical of that. And so someone might pull us up there with a communication about that's going to trigger. This could be someone saying, oh, you didn't get those things done over the weekend. It's that kind of energy. So just be aware. Because at 7:42 a.m., we get a bit of fight energy coming in between the moon in Virgo and Saturn in Pisces. And this is trouble at home energy. This is fighting over children, fighting over finances, and people with authority. So because Virgo is the order and Pisces is the delusional fantasy, it causes a bit of an imbalance in our mental state and in the reality of a situation. So we could get into a feeling of being a bit depressed, being a bit sitting in our own, melancholy, and just kind of really wanting to stay in there. That Pisces energy, particularly in Saturn, can get a little bit stuck in there. So just be aware that we need to really be focusing on getting good sleep, having fresh air, and exercising and being healthy in all ways while we're in a Virgo moon, and trying to work through any opposition energy that way, okay? Now at 9:44 a.m., we do see that Chiron wound being tapped on again. So this is an aspect with moon in Virgo and Chiron. So this could be someone really annoyingly poking at it. And by that, I mean anxiety can start coming up when we're dealing with a Chiron wound, and under this aspect it can really poke on that. So the moon in Virgo can be very self-critical, very self-judgmental, and when it is poking at a Chiron wound, we can really start to feel like we haven't done any work, and we can really start feeling like all of those feelings from the Chiron wound from the ages of 3 until 23, we can start seeing those as real. And Virgo does like to repress a lot of emotions, so sometimes when they come up quite explosively. So the purpose of this aspect is not to annoy us, is not to make us feel bad. It's so we can discern what it is about this Chiron pattern or cycle that caused this long-term wound. And it really is going to be what we need to see through that Pisces delusion from earlier, okay? So just be aware, you could, if you are someone who has anxiety, there is a bit of anxious energy around on Tuesday, okay? At 11:21 a.m., however, we get the sun coming in, shining some light on the moon, so a quintile aspect here. So Scorpio sun's going to bring in a bit of intensity, a bit of passion, and some depth of emotion onto those feelings that we still will be holding on to from that Chiron wound being a bit poked around. So Scorpio, however, very comfortable dealing with fears and addictions, very comfortable. And so with the sun shining light here, this is going to be so helpful to understand the meaning behind that Chiron wound and why we need to close down that cycle. And because that Virgo moon, like I said, can sometimes repress feelings that we feel, because it's like we are very judgmental on the emotional state, and we do start to feel like we are a burden to ourselves and others when we think that we need to sit in feelings. But the sun in Scorpio coming in here is going to help us work through that in a positive aspect, even though it might be a little bit hard to see at first. And moving through with that energy at 12:36 p.m., Mercury coming in with some communication, all right? So Scorpio Mercury bringing in some more information that we need to see through the fog of that Pisces delusion, and it's going to help us see where we were attaching to the trauma wound and how we were using that attachment to escape the reality of whatever the situation was. And that's a common theme that comes up in people. So we shouldn't be self-judgmental about that. It is a reaction to something that has happened to us growing up, and it is normally has come in a state where we have needed to protect ourselves. Okay, so this is likely with Mercury being around that this is a conversation with someone. And it's just a conversation that is going to help shift our perspective and going to help us see through that illusion of the attachment. And it might just be a conversation that you don't expect to come. And it might be someone revealing their own secrets. You know, Mercury and Scorpio, Scorpio being very much about deep bonding. It could be a conversation with someone where they just come out with their own fears and addictions. And it really helps you see that you don't need to be as judgmental towards yourself, because everyone does indeed have these situations. Now, this energy, this positive energy between Mercury and Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces also gives us like a very seductive nature with our imaginations. And if you have any amazing ideas coming up, that is a great way to work through this energy, is to use your imagination and get creative with it, all right? So at 2:28 p.m., we have a conjunction with the moon in Virgo and Lilith in Virgo. So a very heavy day of transformation this Tuesday, okay? So, but this is the perfect energy to come in after that trine, because the moon in Virgo and Lilith in Virgo want to work together here in a healing way. And this is going to be a pretty critical and discerning look at places we have oppressed others and places that we have felt oppressed, places that we have let ourselves down, and where we have been far too critical. And it's going to ask us to do a health check on this dark shadow side of our emotional nature. And we can use this energy to start new daily habits towards our emotional health and our own self-understanding. So this is like anything from telling yourself in the mirror, I love you, every single morning, and starting like a routine of moving your body, even if it's as simple as rolling out of bed and touching your toes, okay? So really use this energy of Lilith being conjunct with the moon in Virgo, this double Virgo energy, very helpful for starting new daily habits towards all round health, okay? So Virgo does rule the sixth house, and sixth house is the overall health of mind, body, spirit, and emotional state. So lean into it. It can be a little bit uncomfortable changing daily habits, but under a Virgo moon, you will find it much easier than you normally would. All right, at 2:54 p.m., we have the moon making a biquintile aspect with Pluto in Capricorn. Again, this is the energy of letting go of old habits that have held us back. So Pluto is transformation energy, Capricorn is discipline. So again, lean into this, all right? We've got those two Virgos coming down, asking us what we can change to move forward. And then we get Pluto in Capricorn bringing some damn discipline into it, all right? And then we see another one, 6:42 p.m., the moon quintiling Mars in Scorpio, Mars about taking action now. So this is the energy of taking that action towards those habits that we have decided we need to change. And it will help us do it with passion and with intensity. And it's really a forward moving afternoon for transformation in both your thought patterns and in both your health of your all round body, okay? And then we get to Wednesday the 8th. Now we have some early morning aspects again working through that energy that we have seen before we went to sleep. So the dream work, the dream transformational energy we have got is 2:27 a.m. There's an aspect between the moon in Virgo and our north node. So with all the change and transformation that came up last night, this could be when that Virgo moon starts getting very nitpicky, very overly critical of your emotional nature, and you could find this being quite an anxious state of mind. So you might find that these dreams of yours coming up are really heavily coming down on you having made the wrong decision, on you having the wrong goals in mind for your future, okay? That is that Virgo overthinking, and it can bring in a lot of anxiety, okay? So if you find yourself overthinking and getting very obsessive about these things, waking up with dreams like that throughout the night, remember that we need to be using these thoughts as like a flashlight into things that definitely need to change, that need to be thrown away to help us move forward. And a lot of the time we attach ourselves to these bad thoughts and bad feelings that are coming up because we think they are a sign from the universe that we are doing the wrong thing. But that is not the case, my friends. The case is we see these things as a little, see that? That's what we're throwing out, all right? So we don't need to be attaching to these emotions. So it is quite helpful that they are coming up for us down in Melbourne in the night, because these aspects coming up in the day can really cause quite a few anxiety driven movements throughout our lives. So at 2:43 a.m., the moon making a trine now with Jupiter, which is a fantastic, positive, artistic outlook on life, all right? So switching that dream state from overthinking into a more positive outlook. And this is going to help us see how we can end those emotional cycles and really show us how ending those emotional cycles can help us grow. This is also really great energy for business and financial opportunities. So if you find yourself waking up with a great idea, write it down, okay? At 3:55 a.m., we see an aspect between the moon and Chiron, a somewhat positive aspect, but again, Chiron being around can make us a little bit uncomfortable, all right? But this time it is showing up here in a biquintile aspect with the moon in Virgo to really help us see the cycle that has been related to the wound, to the trauma. So it might bring up in our dreams some past experiences that really show us how this wounding has completed its cycle every time, right? It might start showing us some versions of the past through this idea of how we were wounded, okay? And again, it wants us to understand the strength in healing that wound, because it is from healing our traumas and understanding them that we can find the gold. You know, we stand on the other side of these traumas. Anyone watching this, I'm sure most of you do. We stand on the other side of this. And from this point of view, looking back, we can really see the strength that we had to make it to where we are standing. And this energy, moon in Virgo, again about daily habits, just wants us to see that we can take very small steps to healing these wounds. That it's not about waking up one day and feeling okay. It's about waking up one day and seeing the patterns and being able to, one at a time, make small daily changes in order to heal them. Okay, at 9:08 a.m., we see an aspect with the moon and Pluto. This is another anxiety trigger, so just be aware of that if you are someone who has anxiety. So this is that Virgo moon overthinking into our deep shadowlands, and this Capricorn energy wants to come in and give us a bit of discipline to stop the overthinking. And those two energies coming up against each other can be quite harsh. Because they don't really have the ability to imagine or to see, okay? Because Capricorn and Virgo, both earth signs. So they are wanting us to ground and in this case, it's to tap in and focus on the daily habits, and that will help push through the anxiety, okay? So you should have by now, if you are following along, decided what small daily habits you would like to now take on. And Capricorn, bring in the discipline to do it, okay? At 12:17 p.m., the moon is going to make a quintile aspect with Mercury in Scorpio. So this is that boost of desire, this boost of energy to create the order and organize the thought processes we are trying to change. So we could find ourselves having a conversation with someone that we have a deep bond with, Mercury Scorpio there, and really being able to say the words about the change. And when we do that, remembering words are spells, words are how we manifest reality. So being aware that this conversation, I think, will be a positive conversation where you are potentially giving advice to somebody from having come through this darkness, and really as you are speaking the words, you will feel their truth, okay? And, you know, Scorpio is very comfortable having those conversations as well. So it's not going to be that anxious energy from earlier aspects. You're going to feel more comfortable having these conversations, all right? At 1:53 p.m., another positive aspect here, sun coming in, shining light on the moon, all right? Bringing in some rational thinking, bringing in some masculine and feminine energy working together. So really nice alignment energy, really great for now seeing through the fog of that overthinking and using that Scorpio sun to have some balance. So after that conversation, even if it's with yourself, maybe in a journal, and just some understanding coming through, you'll start feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit less overthinking. And it will make this next aspect at 4 p.m., which is going to be asking for a compromise, it will make that a little bit easier. So that's the Virgo moon and Chiron making a quincunx aspect at 4 p.m. And that wants the Virgo moon wants to come in and do the work on the daily habits, okay? It's just ready to go. It's like, let's do the work now. We know what we're doing. Let's do it. But someone might come in and trigger you, okay? Chiron wound loves getting triggered by external situations. So you might be working away at the daily habit or feeling like you've got a really good mindset going on, and someone could come in and try and pull you back into that wound mindset, okay? A little test from the universe that's going to ask you to compromise with the person or situation, but you need to remember you are compromising from your new point of view of the Chiron wound, not your old cycle, all right? So then by the time we get to the evening, we have 8:29 p.m., the moon making a sextile aspect with Mars in Scorpio. So a great boost in energy towards communication. Again, with a balance between masculine and feminine energy, we'll be able to talk through our mind and our heart being aligned, so our feelings and our logic being aligned. Really great energy for starting on a side project. And again, we are in the energy of using our creativity to work through emotions, okay? So here we go. The moon wants to put in work. Mars in Scorpio wants to do it passionately and intensely, and we will be able to take action under this, okay? We might feel quite busy when we get to this evening. Then we see a big energy shift, okay? 8:30 p.m. Venus moves to Libra. And Venus loves Libra. These two lovers, okay, Venus is the ruling planet of Libra. So this is going to bring a huge shift in energy in our relationships, looking for balance, looking for harmony, looking for beauty, okay? So really moving away from that overly critical balance of service that we are looking for when we are Venus in Virgo, and coming out of that and moving into more of a harmonious place, being less critical, less judgmental. So hopefully, while Venus was in Virgo and Mercury was in Scorpio, we were able to speak our mind when it came to any of this imbalance of service and imbalance of nurturing. And if we did this, then we are going to be able to ride this love train until the 4th of December, okay? So, and with Pluto and Saturn now direct, this is very forward moving action through our fears, through our addictive behaviors, through our desires, and through our values. So all of this looking for balance now with Libra coming into Venus, it's looking for alignment within self. And because of that, we will be able to find it easier to balance the I in relationships with the we in relationships, all right? Then the last aspect of the day, 8:41 p.m., the moon making a bi-quintile with the North Node. So this is letting go energy, a perfect way to end the day, okay? So early in the day, we've been feeling blocked. We've been feeling like forward movement had slowed down. We had our wounds tapped on. And now this aspect really bringing in that Virgo moon with some clarity of what we need to let go. Again, it's likely to be through daily habits. It's likely to be through something like cleaning, something like organizing, that we start seeing patterns that are moving us towards a new idea, our best and most abundant forward moving timeline, okay? So a great way to end the day. Then let's have a look at the overnight aspects, the early morning aspects on November the 9th, all right? So 1:40 a.m., the moon trining Uranus, all right? Moon still in Virgo, Uranus in Taurus. We are determined and creativity is up, okay? Bringing new ideas. So if you are waking up with ideas, write them down. Uranus ideas come in fast and they leave us fast. So this is a really positive energy coming in on all of those changes we made yesterday. Then at 4:23 a.m., we get to have a look at the Lilith placement again, this time making a quintile, a mostly positive aspect with the sun in Scorpio. So bringing in some light to look at the dark side of our emotional nature. So this is the energy of helping us rearrange and organize our needs now in alignment with these new transformations. Okay, so all of this Chiron that has been coming up and around that we have been looking to heal, this aspect is going to shine some light now onto the dark side of our emotional needs, and we are going to be able to realign with these transformations now that we are starting to let go of some of the attachments to the Chiron wound. All right, 5:42 a.m. quintile between the sun and Pluto. So Pluto coming on in with the discipline required to stay the course of those changes. All right, lean into it. At 8:13 a.m., annoying compromise needed here in a relationship. So this is going to be needing to see through the haze of something, all right? So Venus newly in Libra looking for balance, making a quincunx there with Saturn in Pisces, newly stationing direct. All right, so Saturn ready to go forward, ready to dish out karma, ready to see who's been good, who's been bad. Libra, little bit held back, doesn't want confrontation, doesn't want to bring anything up, all right? So you're going to have to find a compromise in that energy. At 8:37 a.m., someone's going to come in and annoy you. All right, you're going to be in workflow mode here, moon in Virgo, and just Jupiter in Taurus. Someone's going to come in and annoy you. It's going to stress you out. It's going to make you anxious. And that's because it wants you to find a new way of thinking. Okay, it's likely that this anxiety is going to be coming up in relation to the changes you've just made that you haven't quite settled into, and someone's just going to come in and annoy a flow, and it's going to be a time. All right, hold your breath. At 8:46 a.m. though, you'll be able to look at that a little bit through the eyes of somebody else, because we see the moon in Virgo asking for a compromise toward the goal. And so this is questioning if the changes are moving us toward the goal. So we'll be able to see, oh, that annoyed me, but is that moving us closer to the goal? Just be aware of being overly judgmental here, and, questions coming up about, are you working hard enough? Moon in Virgo might get a bit judgmental, and let's look for the compromise in order to move past the habit that we used to be in, past the routine we used to be in. We are now forward moving, okay? 9:20 a.m. God complex activated, guys. Be aware of this, all right? This is the moon in Virgo, Neptune in Pisces. They are making an opposition, and this is going to activate a God complex because our delusional state is going to creep into our reality, and we are going to want to either rain down our own reality onto somebody else's parade, or someone's going to come in and rain down on our parade, okay? This is Virgo work ethic fighting the delusion, okay? Virgo Pisces on the same axis of healing. But in this aspect, moon in Virgo wants to work, Neptune in Pisces wants to dream. So really watch out for addictive behaviors coming up, really watch out for escapist behaviors coming up, because after all of the work that we have been doing, these two having a battle could want to pull us back into any addictive escapist behaviors that we created around those Chiron wounds and around those Lilith traumas, all right? But we are going to have some help here of, Father Time Capricorn, okay? So 11:16 a.m. after this opposition energy, Mercury is going to come in, make a sextile aspect with Pluto in Capricorn. This is going to bring some communication to clear up the fog. So, you might have found that this God complex activated and someone really annoyed you. And now once that starts to settle, we see this aspect coming in, which is going to sort of release everyone from the God complex blindness, because old Father Capricorn energy, bringing in that grounding, bringing in that discipline into our subconscious area so that we can see the truth and the reality of the situation. At 2:01 p.m., Sun quincunxing our Chiron wound. So Sun coming in to shine some light on the delusional state that we have been in, and this is going to trigger some wounding where we are going to have to make compromise. So this could be someone coming in with a sharp tongue there, Sun in Scorpio. Just be careful you're not the one with the sharp tongue. Everyone's a little bit open right now, all of our wounds a bit split open, okay? At 3:20 p.m., the moon is trining Pluto now, so thank hopefully we get this nice energy, all right? This nice grounding energy, this let's work together, let's pull back to the daily habits we've just changed, let's keep our focus there in order just to sit into who we now are with these small changes we've made and being able to see these recent releases that we've done. So, eclipse energy, Saturn going forward. And now with Chiron and Lilith around really quite heavily this week, we really want to be able to sit into this new person that we have created and look at how and why we created these habits. And that's what Pluto in Capricorn is here. And this is throw it out energy, okay? So as we're sitting in this new person, we are throwing out negative thinking that we don't need, or we are physically throwing stuff out. Go through your wardrobe, throw stuff out. What does this new person not need? Throw it out, okay? Anything that doesn't align. Now the moon goes void at 3:33 p.m., which that's Melbourne time, but that's a magical time for transformation, okay? And that is void until 7:07 p.m., all right? So there's a few aspects coming up during this. So it's going void, thankfully, with the sextile aspect, which is a positive one. So the void moon period is likely to be more positively looking at the dark things in the shadows, but just try not to be making any big decisions, all right? So the first one, 3:55 p.m., sextile with Mercury in Scorpio, excellent communication, all right? So any issues that have come up, great time to sit down and have a chat, okay? Also a great time for marketing and business calls, okay? Specifically about long-term goals, long-term investments. This is very supported under this aspect. And any issues with long-term money can be talked about under this. Again, don't make any big decisions, but really great energy to be talking about it, all right? 5:54 p.m., Pluto's coming on in to have a look at Lilith. So this is Capricorn Pluto coming in. It's got probably coming in with some cold, hard discipline. Okay, it's looking at that dark side of our emotions and it wants us to see how our relationship with self-critical behavior is holding us back. So it wants to show us what needs to be let go of in our fears, in our addictions, and how we need discipline to do that, all right? This is like stand up for yourself energy, all right? Do what's right for you energy, okay? Moon comes out of its void phase, goes into Libra. Here we go, back into pleasure. We've done Virgo work energy and now we go Libra, all right? We want pleasure, we want beauty, we want balance in relationships, and we want things to be harmonious. Now this is extra powerful, remember, because Venus just moved to Libra. So really great time for negotiating within business, within relationship matters, within personal matters. Really great time to get out and let your sparkly side shine, okay? We are very good at talking to people under a moon in Libra. We are social. We can see things from other perspectives. Very good. Be careful not to get stuck in obsessive behavior about needing external validation, all right? So 8:11 p.m., we got the moon newly in Libra, asking for a compromise here with Saturn in Pisces, all right? So moon in Libra, newly wanting love, newly wanting fun. Saturn coming in and going, remember those values we just changed. Remember those daily habits we just started, all right? So Lilith showing us those places that where we needed to be disciplined, and Saturn here just being like, hey, I understand that we've moved into this era of pleasure. Let's remember to uphold those rules that we just set, okay? Because Libra might want to just bend them a little in order to please everyone, and Saturn's not going to let you, all right? So remember why you made those changes. Saturn's here to help you stay disciplined with them, all right? 9:22 p.m., we get a conjunction between the moon in Libra, Venus in Libra. Stunning energy, all right? Great energy, really enhanced feminine energy, really enhanced intuition. Our emotional natures are feeling quite balanced, and we'll be in quite a tender, loving, kind of nurturing kind of mood. So if you can be around someone who you like giving to, someone who likes to give back to you, this is the perfect energy for that. Perfect energy, pleasure, balance, love, romance, date energy, go for it. At 10:43 p.m., we see the sun making a semi-square to the moon. So sun, Scorpio, moon in Libra. A little bit of frustration coming up here with the sun kind of trying to shine some light on where we maybe were a bit people-pleasing, where we maybe tried to get around that Saturn wanting us to uphold our values, okay? And, where we might have focused on the external and missed out on some depth. So just a little bit of frustration coming up there on Thursday night. Now we see November the 10th, all right? So moving on to Friday. So at 2:21 a.m., we're doing a little bit of work, okay? A little bit of work in the dreams about letting go. We see the moon and Jupiter making an aspect. And, after that semi-square last night where we were letting go because of our needs of external validation or people pleasing, this one's going to show us why we needed to do that and why we also need to remember ourselves and focus inwards in order to achieve our own security and abundance, all right? We need to find that within. You might be dreaming, having some nice balanced dreams, okay? So 3:21 a.m., here we go, Lilith coming on in, all right? So this is balanced moon in Libra, looking into working with Lilith here. So this is quite a nice one, showing us the happy medium when we do uphold these values, when we do stand up for ourselves and choose ourselves, and we get to see how that affects others, but in a positive light, all right? At 4:19 a.m., we get a semi-square coming in. Little bit of action and work needed here. So this is from a deep intensity, all right? Now, Libra, not so big on the deep intensity, right? It wants to fight up against it. It doesn't want the conflict that sometimes comes with being in this deep, intense, passionate mode. But Scorpio is like, hey, come on, let's do it. You can totally do it, all right? So a little bit of a frustration energy there. At 7:28 a.m., we see an aspect coming in here, bringing in sort of an irritating change, all right? Moon in Libra, Uranus in Taurus. This is an anxious energy, all right? So again, anxiety warning. If you do have anxiety warning. Okay, so this is like Libra doesn't want to make a decision and Uranus coming in with a potential work or daily plan change, all right? And Libra's not going to like it. It's going to make it feel unbalanced, all right? So 8:06 a.m., we get a little bit of help here because we are going to be able to work with the delusion of always needing to be in control, always needing balance, all right? So it's going to help us release whatever it was we were holding on to in order to move forward with this Uranus change. Then at 2:05 p.m., we are going to be able to make the compromise that was required during that change, okay? And that's going to help us move forward. Now, big energy shift on Friday. 5:25 p.m. Mercury moves to Sagittarius and we are hitting go, all right? So Sagittarius can be quite sharp-tongued here in Mercury. So even though Scorpio can be quite sharp-tongued when it's in Mercury, Scorpio is a little bit more secretive, likes to keep things to itself, okay? But Sagittarius, no, it doesn't, all right? So here we see Sagittarius in Mercury and it doesn't care about the secretive side of things, right? It wants to come in with some sarcasm, with some jokes, with some wit inside of its sharp tongue. And secrets are no longer the highest priority. And this is like forward thinking Sagittarius energy. So this is unfiltered conversation, unfiltered communication, because we don't really care about its effect on others while we are standing up for ourselves, all right? So other people's opinions coming up against what we want to achieve do not matter as much, okay? Very sharp tongued. And then we get to Saturday, November the 11th. Let's have a look at the overnight work we're doing. 1:06 a.m. biquintile here between the moon in Libra and Uranus in Taurus. So this is letting go of control, of balance, and being open to changes, okay? So this is really much, when we're in this moon in Libra, it's about balance, right? And finding balance. So these Uranus aspects can really be leaned into, all right? We can really kind of open our mind here to different ways of doing things because Libra, very good at seeing things from both sides, very good at seeing balance, but making decisions about which side to take, not a strength, and also avoiding conflict, all right? So sometimes when we have these changes, conflict arises within ourselves where we have to make a decision, and that's quite hard to do under a moon in Libra. So this first aspect in the dream state here, 1:06 a.m., it's going to help us let go of control, of needing to balance things out, okay? It's going to help us be able to see that we need to move forward with these changes and that will eventually end in finding balance, all right? So 1:44 a.m. semi-square coming in, so moon in Libra wanting the balance and the harmony, and Mercury in Sagittarius wants to speak its mind regardless, okay? So this semi-square in the dream state is going to be like a little fight with yourself, okay? And it's likely to be coming up against these new values that you wanted to do and like dreaming about the old ways. And it could potentially get a little bit self-critical if you can see the downfall of not upholding these new values of self, okay? 1:47 a.m., moon in Libra, turns to escapism, okay? We've got an aspect with Saturn in Pisces. Moon in Libra says, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want the confrontation. I'm going to choose to go over here with the delusion, and I'm going to get a little bit blinded by it, all right? So this is like obsessive behaviors, okay? We want to be digging into why we don't want the confrontation. That is the energy of this aspect. 207, right? Sagittarius coming in here with a square. So Mercury, Sag, Saturn in Pisces making a square. So Sag coming on in here with some stern words, all right, and really kind of looking at that last energy and trying to find a way through this delusion and escape fog, all right, and really trying to see what's there. So Sagittarius is that energy of like, this is my goal, I'm gonna get it, and it's the way to the goal, not the goal that's most important. So really good energy, but in this aspect, it's like trying to see through the fog without having a goal at the other side kind of makes the fog a little bit heavier. So it's like the stern words coming up against a passive energy within our value system, okay? 3:25 a.m., we see another stressful tug on the Chiron wound here. So Moon in Libra, Chiron wound. So everything that's been coming up overnight here about this avoiding confrontation, that is going to be in relation to a Chiron wound, all right? And this is still trying to balance something out. And this is, you know, we avoided that confrontation earlier, but it's going to show up here. And it's going to show up, and there's a battle energy between these two, Libra and Aries. And this is trying to use that energy of healing versus projection. And remembering that we have our North and South node right now are Libra Aries, and this is an opposition between Libra Aries. So this is very much related to who we were in the past and who we want to be in the future, all right? So this is an active dream state again, really looking at where we were and where we want to be, okay? At 6:51 a.m., we do get a bit of light coming in here with the sun in Scorpio making a semi-sextile to the moon in Libra, all right? So sun coming in, it's lighting up parts of Libra that avoid confrontation. And it's trying to show us why it's okay sometimes to disrupt the balance. Because, you know, this is that energy. Someone might even come in to grind on your nerves a little in the early morning here on Saturday. And just try and be open-minded to it, all right? Because it's trying to show you something. 6:59 a.m., we have Mercury making a biquintile with the node, okay? So with the North node. So Mercury is going to bring a sharp tongue in here. It's going to have an opinion of what needs to be let go. It's going to be holding on to all of this emotional state we've had overnight. And in order to move forward toward our purpose, we need to shoot that Sagittarius arrow, okay? So that Sagittarius arrow, if you've heard me talk on it before, it's I am going to shoot this one arrow that I have, and I'm going to shoot it as far as I can into a goal, and I'm going to go get it. And I don't know where it's landed, but I know I have to get it in order to then start a new story, okay? So it's telling us to focus on the journey and not focus on the outcome in order to let go of control of the outcome, all right? 9:03 a.m. we get some Lilith action coming in. Now this is not a very good aspect. This is the Libra moon. It's coming in asking for harmony and balance. And this is Lilith in Virgo. She's going to be overly critical under this, and there's going to be some judgment on the give and take in relationships. And we're kind of being told to check ourselves under this aspect, all right? So really, if you are looking at give and take in a relationship here, in how you show up and how someone else shows up, check yourself first before you open your mouth, okay? So 11:28 a.m., the moon making a semi-sextile with Mars. So moon in Libra now working with Mars in Scorpio, wanting to take passionate action after this stressful morning in our heads. And it's comfortable there, okay? It's comfortable looking at the Chiron wound that we've projected and the ways in which we have projected our Lilith traumas and wounds as well. So we'll start seeing some action in what we need to do. At 12:42, that's going to ask us for a compromise, all right? That's going to tug on the energy of Lilith, and it's going to ask us to show our work in relation to realizing this need for external validation and people pleasing that we have done in order to adapt. All right, so it's going to be a sudden change, a sudden compromise coming in that we probably don't want to do. And it's likely to be in the physical world. And that is going to be your way of showing to yourself how you are actually committed to doing the work to heal this people-pleasing energy, to heal this need for external validation, all right? 3:05 p.m. Mercury making an aspect with Chiron here, so Mercury in Sag, all right, very fiery. This is annoying, okay? This is annoying, and it's going to bring in some anxiety. And it's likely to be a conversation that's going to lead us into stress, and we are going to feel like we are stuck inside of that emotion, okay? But this energy wants to push us past the obstacles. So this could be a conversation that you take to personally, or that somebody else takes from you to personally. And either you or that person attaching to the words as if they were personal attacks. And we need to look at why we do that, where that came from in relation to things that occurred when we were growing up, and where we might have set programs around hearing those things in a specific way, okay? At 7:48 p.m., the moon making an opposition with our north node, so moon in Libra still. And so remembering again, moon in Libra, node in Aries, so we are dealing with the Libra Aries axis. And with this opposition node coming in, it's a tug of war, right? It's likely to be between who we were in the past, who we want to be in the future. And this is in the depths, okay? And it's, being in Libra, this is likely to be in a relationship situation. So the future or outcome of a relationship is what you might be looking at here. And it's going to be seeing how all of these old patterns of behavior, so South Node issues, and how they are now not serving you in your current relationship or in a relationship that you are looking for, and how they would move forward, okay? Bit of a deep aspect there, Saturday night, all right? 8:12 p.m. there is, a quincunx aspect coming in that's just going to tap on that opposition energy again. And this is the delusion, the fear, the addiction energy, and Libra wanting to balance it out and looking for compromise here. So this is that relationship energy, something that's come up and triggered that Chiron wound behavior. And it could be a sharp-tongued conversation from somebody you're in a relationship with, or you could come in with a sharp tongue, okay? And now you are asking for compromise, like the give and take here. How do we balance this out? How do I get what I want, and how does the relationship get what it needs? So how do we make this illusion, this dream of how we want the relationship to look, how do we pull that into reality now? And how do we both compromise? How does our situations compromise in order to achieve that? And how do we get there is what this energy is asking. Then at 10:50, we do see a helpful aspect to clear up this energy biquintile between Venus in Libra and Jupiter in Taurus. So this is very helpful. It's going to help us be able to see things in a more ordered way in order to expand. So those conversations that we've been having about where and how we need to compromise on things in a relationship, we're going to be able to see the greatest abundance at the end. And we're going to be able to see how to get there, because this is a really big love energy, all right? And it's love energy through understanding. So ending that Saturday night on a positive note after having quite an emotional roller coaster. And then we get to Sunday, November 12th. Okay, so the moon goes void Sunday morning at 2:05 a.m. until 5:39 a.m. and it is going void with a square to Pluto. This is a nasty void moon phase, okay? So thankfully it doesn't go for very long. So this is discipline energy in the Shadowlands. Discipline energy looking at fears, looking at addictions, looking at how we transform in relationships, okay? And this is with the moon in Libra, it's going to be related to balance. It's going to be related to how we get external validation in relationships. And with it being a square, it is some pushback here, okay? Pluto Capricorn wanting discipline, moon in Libra wanting balance and pleasure. So we've gone to sleep last night having worked through some of this energy in the relationship, and now in the dream space, it's that idea that we talked about earlier of seeing these things from the past and seeing how ego showed up and seeing how we may have given too much to someone, or someone may have given us and we didn't give back, like where the balance was not correct. And this is like emotionally violent energy. And, we could wake up wanting to lash out if we are still holding on to any of these feelings when we wake up. Or if we're still out, Sunday morning, 2:05, some people might still be out. Okay, so the moon moves to Scorpio next and our shadow side gets activated. So just tread very carefully with after coming out of this opposition with the moon then being in Scorpio, the short fuses that we get under a Scorpio moon are more exaggerated because we're coming out of an opposition energy, all right? But we are ready to transform now, moon in Scorpio. We are ready to investigate things in the dark side, and we do want to connect with someone on a deeper level. We can be very impulsive, we can be very secretive. Anxiety can be higher as well during moon in Scorpio, so be aware of that, my anxiety friends. But this is also really good energy for spicy time, okay? Anyone with a Pluto in Scorpio, I am looking at you, okay? This is like some really nice lean into the taboo energy, okay? 6:43 a.m. now, moon in Scorpio, coming in with a trine to Saturn in Pisces. Excellent energy here, bringing in some logic over that overly emotional state we've been in overnight. Really Saturn coming in with some stability after that square, okay? Really great energy here for any kind of logic requiring decisions, anything about financial decisions or long-term plans. Really fantastic energy here for being able to see forward motion. All right, 8:11 a.m. we have got Mars making an opposition. All right, so another opposition energy here. And this is a sudden change that's going to upset your forward action. All right, Uranus loves bringing in sudden change and new ideas. It's comfortable there. Now, Scorpio likes to move with intensity and passion, likes to move a little bit slower. And then, Uranus wants to come in here and just tip over the chessboard. All right, once the pieces in different places, tells you there's new rules now. And so this annoying change can light that very short fuse of Scorpio moon energy, and we can be a little bit erratic. So just be careful driving, be careful if you're doing anything dangerous there Sunday morning, because accidents very easily occur because our brain state is very erratic, okay? 10:33 a.m. semi-sextile here with the moon in Scorpio and Mercury in Sagittarius. So straight talking Mercury and Sag coming on in to help us see through the clarity of why this change had to occur, okay? We could still be in that annoyed short fuse state, and now we see this energy of like, oh, this is why that had to happen, all right? 1:21 p.m. Moon and Venus meeting up. So this is going to help us show how that change that we didn't want to make really helped balance out a relationship dynamic. 2:02 p.m. we get Lilith coming on in, and she's going to show us how balancing that relationship really actually helped us as well as the relationship. And it's going to see how without that we would have been more likely to project our own judgment onto others, and we may have done that trying to make that compromise, trying to make that change. We may have projected our own self-judgment, our own anxieties into the situation, making it much worse, all right? So this aspect, moon in Scorpio, comfortable looking at that dark side, comfortable kind of having some self-responsibility, so lean into that. 9:53 p.m., because we've got quite a quiet day on Sunday, thankfully. We see a semi-sextile here now with Lilith. So this is an excellent energy to be coming through this Lilith with, okay? So this is Venus bringing in some love energy, some self-love, and making us really see that the places that we felt shame or guilt around our behavior, places where we had oppressed others or had felt oppressed, are just tools that we can use for power, and how we need to be true to ourselves and let others love who we truly are without judging ourselves, without putting somebody else first, and just really kind of understanding how when we can move through these cycles of an issue coming up, needing a compromise, taking action on it, and then understanding it's that trust process, particularly with Libra around here, where Libra likes balance and doesn't like the confrontation and likes to know that everything is where it needs to be. This energy of Lilith coming in now with this Libra Venus really showing us that even if we don't see the full outcome and we have to come into a confrontation, that we can see that the confrontation that comes up because of a sudden change actually will end in the balance that we need, even though at the start we might not feel that way. Okay. So 11:09, unfortunately, Sunday night, we do have an opposition between the moon in Scorpio and Jupiter in Taurus. And we didn't like authority figures here. Okay, this is conflicts with people who are in authority. And this is like throwing all of your rules to the wind, okay? And this is extravagance and waste. I would highly advise not going out for dinner on Sunday night or anything like that, because this is that energy of just being so conflicted with an authority figure or a rule that you really want to fight it, okay? And Moon in Scorpio can be very vengeful, and you know, you coming up against somebody who is in a place of authority, and Scorpio doesn't really care. So I would stay home Sunday night, away from authority figures, because you don't want to just be like spending money willy-nilly because you are angry at the world, and who cares, all right? So just be aware of that, because it's that deeply emotional Scorpio moon, you know, and it might be being too obsessive over the material world. And when we are too obsessive over the material world, we either pull back and don't want to, you know, spend or use any of our abundance, or we throw it all to the wind because who cares, all right? So that is all of the energy we are looking at throughout this week. I hope you stayed with me. I think it's better for organizing your week if I do it all at once. That way you're not having to come in daily and write it in your diary. So remembering that from Monday to Friday, the nodes of destiny are direct. So putting out your new ideas, putting out your business ideas are highly favored this week. So really put in the work. This is where you plant seeds that will definitely grow. We are in still Scorpio season, so we are very passionate, okay, and tapping into that Sagittarius Mercury when it rolls around, because it's going to make us be able to move forward, specifically with Saturn now pushing us forward and Pluto now pushing us forward. This Mercury in Sagittarius is going to give us the ability to say what we need to say, and not be so affected by the opinions of others. So really great energy, forward moving, really excellent for sinking into yourself. So after that eclipse energy, I'm sure a lot of us have had things come up that we have had to throw out, and we feel a little bit transformed. And this is the energy that we need, that's going to make us feel unstuck and going to be able to help push us forward towards our goals. So everything, once we hit Sagittarius season coming up, everything's going to start moving very quickly, okay? We do have our Mercury going retrograde at the end of the month as well. So really push now, really push on how we want to move forward, because that retrograde will give us a little bit of a breather to just go over the bits of the plan that we may need to overlook. But now is go time, and now is trust yourself, trust the universe, and put in the work now while we've got Saturn on our side moving forward. Then that Mercury retrograde is going to hold us back a little bit, so that we can kind of revisit the details on the plan, all right? So thanks for staying with me, and I will see you on other videos, and I will be posting weekly astro weathers on Sunday night for you to plan your week over. So thanks for staying with me, and until you see my face again, stay weird.